My name is Ori, and in the last 3 years, I've went from being fat to jacked. And if you are currently on your fitness journey and you have been training for a few weeks or months but haven't seen a lot of progress, I want you to keep watching this video, because in this video I will go over two things. The first one is the reason why you might not see as much progress as you want, and the second one is a framework to realize whether you are on the right path or not, and if you're not, then why this is one thing that by fixing you will start to see a lot more progress. Let's start with the reason why you are not seeing a lot of progress. Now, if it is weight loss wise or weight gain wise, it's just because your diet is not good. So before everything else, if you try to build muscle, then that might be a different story because the training requires certain methods and everything. But if your weight doesn't change accordingly to your goal and you try to reach that goal, you try to eat more, but you don't really track anything, any kind of food that you consume, then you are not really doing what you need. Weight the scale as long as you track the averages between the days. It does not lie. If your average weight between the weeks doesn't go up, you are not gaining weight. If it doesn't go down, you are not losing weight. So before everything else, if your weight on the scale doesn't change, it means that your diet, right, you're not in enough calories, because the calorie balance determines your weight as long as you track your weight at consistent times and you take the averages between the days. Now, when it comes to building muscle, it is a bit more tricky, because to build muscle you need to train, and training, some people can do it wrong, and because of that they won't gain a lot of muscle. But also some people just have bad genetics that does not allow them to build a lot of muscle. And identifying which category you are is important, because if you train correctly and you're doing everything right and you don't make a lot of progress, that's just a genetic problem. That's just something that you need to come to terms with and realize, oh, I will never be that jacked. Oh, I might be that jacked, but I should not have high expectations just because my genetics are not that good. On the other side, if your training methods are wrong, if you train wrong, then fixing your training might cause you to see a massive leap of progress. So what are the major mistakes beginners make? The first mistake that because of making a beginner will not gain a lot of muscle is progressive overload and technique. So the first one, the most fundamental one, is just not really targeting the right muscle and not targeting it with enough load. To build muscle, you need to train intensely. That's one of those things that are really important. You also need to progressively get stronger between the weeks. That's another fundamental things. And you also need to train with a technique that actually targets the right muscle. If you do these three things correctly, if you train close to muscular failure, the point in which you have a really hard time performing the last few reps, you just slow down, even though you put a lot of effort, then that's a good sign. That's a sign that you're doing something right. If your technique is alright, you target the right muscles, you feel them working, also a sign that you're doing something pretty good. And thirdly, if the weight that you lift goes up between the weeks, bruh, if you get more than 5 sets per week per muscle, it's probably not your training. It might be a recovery or a diet, but more likely than not, if you are a beginner especially, it's your genetics. Because again, if you train correctly at the beginner phases, as long as you consume enough protein and you sleep more than 6 hours per night, you should see a lot of progress. And you might see progress because you get consistently strong between the weeks. But the reason why you don't see as much progress as you desire, as you want, is probably because of your genetics. That's the kind of black pill that I want you to swallow. You can get better, you can keep training, you can get right, you can get as good as you can. But you cannot become a different person until a few years from now, genetic engineering comes from AI and then you can. But now, the only thing that you can actually do is to accept your genetics, is to do your best, is to go and still train consistently, but just be okay with getting as much results as you do. Because these are the results that you will get. You cannot really, unless you will take, that stuff, which I will not suggest that you go on. I haven't gone on, and I genuinely think that for most people, going on it is moronic. Unless your testosterone, right, is fucking low and your doctor suggests you to. Unless this is your case, right? Don't fucking do it. And that is the thing. You should come to accept your genetics as they are, and then you should go and optimize your training and recovery and diet. The second part of this video, as I have addressed in the beginning, is how to identify what you're doing wrong. There are basically two major indicators that you're either not eating a good diet or you're doing something wrong muscle building wise. The first one is the scale. We've talked about it in the beginning. The second one is your strength in the gym. All beginners basically should see some kind of progression. If you don't see any progression at all at the beginning, if you cannot really identify progression, that's a different story. So if you cannot progressively get stronger, change how you train. You should, at the very least, be able to track progressive overload. And then intensity alone can be fine. I won't sit here and lie, but really, progressive overload is important. So progressive overload should train pretty intensity. Your technique should be pretty good. You should feel the muscle working, mind-muscle connection, right? That's training. With diet, you should get enough protein per day. That's important. That's really important. That might be one of those things that really hold back your progress. The saying that 80% of your gains are made in the kitchen is pretty true. It's not true to the fullest extent, but it's pretty true. So you should take care of your diet. Now here's the thing. A few weeks is not enough to see progress. For most people, especially when it comes to building muscle, the muscle building process is very slow. The first months you should make some progress because of neurological adaptation, because you learn how to use force, how to generate it from zero because you have never trained. But from that point onwards, the first 6 months you should see a lot of progress. There is the newbie gains. But it is still pretty slow. It still takes weeks to see progression. It still takes months. If you've been training for only 3 fucking weeks, then right, that's not a lot of time. Just keep going with enough time over the next weeks and months. As long as you do things correctly, as I've addressed, you will get jacked. You will get jacked. You will get as jacked as you can. You will lose weight if you try to lose weight. Your weight will go down. You will look better. You will look better. You will build muscle, and it will be amazing. So that's the takeaway that I want you to take from this video. Before that, the framework that I mentioned at the beginning. Basically, search for a signal that you're not making progress in a certain area. Let's say your weight not changing. Realize it's why it happens. Usually because of the calorie balance, and fix it. So it's the first step is to identify, the second step is to fix it, the third step is to search for feedback once again. If your weight doesn't change again for the following weeks, days, months, change it, fix it again until you get to that point in which you're doing everything correctly. If you want to get there faster, you can check out the free course in the description, but you will get there at some point. As long as you keep trying, you will get there. As long as you're willing to admit your ignorance, that you might not be doing things correctly, you will get there. And right when you will get there, it'll be amazing, and I can fucking promise you that, because that's what happened to me. And that's basically it. If you enjoyed this video, you can like and subscribe, and I will see you tomorrow. Bye.